Raising Unicorns! Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Raising Unicorns podcast. Today, I have, I think for the first time ever in the history of the podcast, Mr. Daniel Spencer.
It's time to chat with a legend.
That's legendary.
Dan is one of our team members here, but what most people don't know about Harm Brothers, who follow Harm Brothers social media, is Dan is actually a powerhouse of his own on his own channels on both TikTok and Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll let him tell a little bit about his channel, what he's done, and how it kind of gives him insights to like kind of what we do at Harm Brothers.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm from Zimbabwe. If you're hearing the accent, that's where I'm from.
That's why he talks funny.
That's why I talk funny.
You're different. That's funny.
You're so foreign. Oh my gosh. I do have a social media following. I have 1.7 million followers on TikTok. I just hit 110K on Instagram today. Yeah, I've basically been doing this for years now. I started on TikTok when TikTok first got moved from Musical.ly to TikTok. Since then, I've kind of gone viral multiple different times, been featured in Variety Magazine, on BuzzFeed, and multiple different news sources. E-News was like a crazy one with this. I had a cake video that went viral. Since then, I've just kind of been going viral every now and then, just whenever I feel like it.
I'm just like, today's a viral
Just whenever
day.
I feel like it, dude.
I'm like, this one doesn't feel like it. Not today. Maybe tomorrow.
But whenever I get the inspiration, and it's really nice to have fans, and that's my little spiel.
So one of the things I think would be helpful for our audience, because mostly our audience is entrepreneurs or marketers who are trying to understand the landscape. And so like Harmon Brothers, our traditional model is to do paid media spend at the top of funnel on usually channels like, we've dabbled in a little bit of TikTok content, but mostly Meta, so Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. And so we haven't really dabbled in creator components of our campaigns. We've had a handful here and there. Yeah. So I thought it'd be really helpful to have Dan on to bring his expertise, because he has done many brand deals on his channel, and he's been in this space and the negotiating and kind of understanding where his value is and what he can do for brands. And I thought it'd be really helpful to bring him in and talk a little bit about what that's like for brands who are looking to work with an influencer or work with a content creator. So Dan, you've done lots of deals over the time.
Yes.
Both in the Utah mommy blogger / influencer group, as well as like with DanBanBam, of like with your following you've built up, like it's far exceeded what that was back in the day. And like you've seen all sorts of different shapes and sizes of brand deals. So talk me through, like, if I'm a brand, so say I'm a supplement company, say my product is an energy supplement, say it's a pre-workout. And I say, Dan, I like your energy, I like your like stuff. I reach out to you. What does a deal partnership look like? How would you handle that, and how would you structure that deal with the company for doing some content for them?
Well, I definitely think it depends on how much interaction I'm getting. Like if I know I'm like killing it on social media, then I know that my value immediately goes up more, because I'm suddenly more engaging. My audience is more engaged in general. Usually kind of how I've approached it, or at least I've been taught to approach it, because I've handled most of my own brand deals by myself. And the way that I've usually structured it is that it depends on the platform. If they're having me go cross-platform, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, there's obviously a lot more value there. Mm-hmm. If they are wanting let's say one of my lesser platforms like Facebook or just YouTube, where like I have like 20,000, 30,000 followers, then I'll probably like drop down the price and be like, okay, clearly you're not wanting to engage with something like this. But at the same time, I then go back to my audience, and depending on how my audience looks to their particular brand or how it relates to their particular brand, I'll oftentimes also structure it in that way and saying, I'm adding a lot more value because I've already targeted this particular audience that you desperately want. And so I'm going to give you XYZ. This video, whatever it is, a set amount of videos for you so that you can advertise, you can post it. And it also, sometimes I've had interesting brand deals where a lot of people have come to me as like, we want to just post it on our page specifically. We don't want to post
featuring you in the video.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
You as a content creator.
And in those situations, that can probably like drop down the price at times, because I'm like, okay, well, again, they're not really using my audience.
Yeah.
That's them just trying to be like, using me for clout, essentially.
Like, this guy from TikTok.
Exactly.
Right?
Previously, that used to be an issue. Now it's more of again, the price goes back up because now collaboration is such a big thing, especially on Instagram. You can cross collaborate with different people, and obviously you'll show up on all my followers' pages if we do that. So it's been very interesting to kind of see how the landscape has changed over time and how I've had to kind of adapt, but the same principles kind of stay the same. Are you wanting to use my following? Are you wanting a large amount of engagement? Are you wanting to make sure that your brand is seen and heard?
So it sounds like your first step is just like, what scope is this? Like,
Yes,
what type of engagement are you wanting to have with me on these different variables, whether it's my audience and like level of involvement? What if a client comes to you with an idea and they approach you with this concept, right? Yeah. How do you handle it when they come to you with an idea, like kind of already pre-developed?
I think it has to depend on how, obviously that's a more catered situation. If they're proactively watching my videos and being like, we want to make sure that we're sticking within your brand, so here you go. We want you to just kind of recreate the video that you've been making. Well, it's just a better approach in general. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time they will approach me. I've been approached by multiple brands on many occasions who honestly don't do that. They don't try to even kind of know who I am.
Yeah.
Or they don't even...
Or your audience.
Or my audience, and understand what my audience is. Like, if you're not proactively going to a creator and checking out their page, checking out their comment sections, seeing what the kind of really engaging content that creating the kind of engaging content that they can actually make for you, mm-hmm. It's always felt weird. Every time I go into one of those meetings, it's always just bad. that's the only way. That's the only way to say it.
It's just not good.
No, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. Like, again, you can approach a creator and try to in some way collaborate in a way that is smooth, relates to the audience, that actually benefits the creator in their creator's voice, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's going to benefit you because people will honestly be like, well, very clearly you can see the time and care that the creator's taken and that the brand's taken to let the creator do what they think and feel is best for the video. Honestly, again, I've actually had people comment like, this is bad in some of the brand videos where they've been like, again, when it feels more forced. Because there's been times, obviously, where I'm just poor and I need to take a brand deal, so I'm going to do it, right?
Daniel's like, not anymore. I'm above that now.
I'm above that now. But it's genuinely like a concerning thing where people started commenting on one of those particular videos like, hey, this is bad. Like, this kind of ruined the whole thing for me. And then that's hurting me as a creator because suddenly people think I've sold out. And so obviously immediately I talked to the brand and was like, I need to take this down. I redid the video in my own voice, entirely different engagement. Suddenly people were like, this is so much better. We love this. This is fantastic. It was just such an interesting situation to be in where I was like, oh, people don't like when I just post an ad video. I thought it wasn't even going to kind of affect me in any way.
Right.
But it directly affected me. And I was like, wow, okay, so I need to be careful about the kind of brand deals that I'm taking. I also need to be careful about the kind of voice that I have within these brand deals themselves in general.
So what I'm hearing is that pre-qualifying someone, a content creator that pairs well with their audience and with the type of content they do is a great first step.
Yes.
For people who are out there looking for these type of content deals. And then also be willing to let the content creator tell the brand a little bit more about their audience and how it should influence the content.
Exactly.
Oftentimes you can, even if you're catering really closely to what the brand's audience is, it's still not the brand's audience. It's the creator's audience. Exactly. And they know them way better than the brand thinks they do.
Yes, yeah.
And they can help them leverage that more because they know their audience and what they respond to and what they dislike, right?
Exactly. Well, and that's the weird thing that I feel like brands are missing out on. Like, you open TikTok to ads every single time. And every single time I just skip through them because they oftentimes don't engage with me as much. And it's purely because it feels either forced or it feels lackluster. Like, it feels like they just, again, either the creator didn't care or the brand didn't care enough to actually find a creator that was proactively pointing them into the direction of here is my particular audience and this is the type of person that I want to engage with, gain a following.
And this is the type of content that they're going to just love.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the time I'm just bored. It's like, okay, this is so... Yeah,
just
it just
vanilla.
feels so... Exactly. And so, I don't know, there's something to also just being able to let a creator kind of have their fun and not have to worry. Again, if a creator is like presenting a video that's just horrible, why would you even like try as a brand to like even try and pair up with someone like that as well? You know, I feel like there are multiple creators out there that I know that would kill a brand deal, but have yet to even like have one.
And I think that's an interesting thing about TikTok as a platform, because I don't want to say we've struggled, because we really haven't focused in on our time and focus on what we do and the type of premium content that we create.
Yes, yeah.
But I feel like TikTok as a platform is like, it's like, if you don't fit into this, like, I would say authentic feel.
Yes.
You struggle.
Yes.
Because all the stuff that we've had some of our clients of like, hey, we want to take this content we did for Instagram that was very polished and put it on here, has not performed great. There's only a handful of instances where they're really engaging and just like really arresting stuff that's performed well.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a tough bar to always go over that threshold. And so I think it's that the authenticity of, that's why creators have done so well on there, is because it's like they're making, like, for every one brand deal, they're making like 40 videos that are just like them being content creators, making funny crap that makes people laugh, makes people, like, engages them on some level, makes them think. So anyway, I think that's an interesting thing about the TikTok platform as a whole, because it's so diametrically different than YouTube or Facebook or Instagram.
And it feels like it's ever changing. Like it just constantly in its own realm and in its own space, where Instagram, like you said, you can post a more polished video on Instagram and have it feel more.
It feels like it's at home.
Exactly. It feels like it's in its right place.
Yeah.
TikTok at times, it can, again, you talk about like feeling unnatural. Sometimes creators will go above and beyond for a brand because they want to work with the brand again. They want to do stuff the right way. Oftentimes you'll see people not engage with it because it's just too well produced in some instances. And that's an interesting, I don't know, a kind of I don't know what you call it.
The way I've described it is it's your condition, it's content conditioning for the platform. Because they might see the exact same thing. Because there's lots of creators that I follow that are on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And for some reason, if I saw something on TikTok that was super polished, I'd be like, eh. And I could see the same piece of content on YouTube and be like, oh, I didn't know they did this stuff. And I would watch it. It's weird. Like it's like your mind gets into a different space based on the content that you're watching in that platform. So Daniel, I think it would be really helpful for like people who are in the entrepreneurial space or small business space or marketers themselves who are looking to maybe bring in a creator as part of like a package or a component of a campaign, to understand like what's the range that it looks like for working with a creator. You don't have to speak to like specifics on yours, but like what's a good rule of thumb that they can think about in terms of like pricing? Like, can I even engage with a creator? And if I can, what like kind of scale can I engage with them on? Yeah.
So I think I am going to actually just use my TikTok as like an example, just mainly because
in case you want to use Dan,
in case you want to use me,
he is ready and willing.
A lot of the time, at least what I had been told, especially by other influencers, is I have 1.7 million followers. If I'm doing really well in terms of engagement on my TikTok at the time as well, I feel like a fair price in general is anywhere between, I'm going to say about 30K to about 40K for a brand deal.
For someone that has like a following your size.
Yes. If you're asking for something like one video that I can just post on anything, sure. You can drop it down to maybe like 20K at that point. But at the same time, I still feel like, again, what you're asking for, and especially right now with the ad campaign options that you have on TikTok and Reels, to be able to kind of post out to that person's following for 30 days or whatever it is, I feel like a fair price is probably about 40K. For me, it comes down to what am I giving a brand in general and what am I offering them? And I know for a fact that I can at least offer them at least 40,000 viewers. So anything that you want to do with like that type of like engagement is worthwhile in the long run, in my mind, of like, yeah, this is fine, this is fair, it feels okay.
So so say someone doesn't have 40K in their marketing budget, especially to go like pay Dan, but if you do, Dan makes great stuff. What would they expect to pay for someone like 40,000 followers and say it's like on Instagram?
I think it's easy to get, 2-3K.
Yeah.
That's what I would charge. Again, a smaller following is something that's another interesting part of especially Instagram, because a lot of the time influencers who have large followings on TikTok will oftentimes have smaller followings on Instagram, but they're more hyper focused.
Right.
And so the benefit
is
niche
to whatever their content is.
Exactly. But again, it's also limited to the amount of eyes that you're going to get onto that particular video, because you're not going to get as much engagement. There's oftentimes bots that you're also dealing with. So I'd say about 2K, 3K.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair price.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for being on your maiden voyage on the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for watching Raising Unicorns!
Subscribe now.